So, good morning once again. Okay, in the first presentation I've been talking about the behavior-driven development, acceptance-driven development, test automation, user stories, working with requirements, Kenefi model, and in most of the cases it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Why? Because most of the time, most of the developers, most of us IT people are dealing with something which is called legacy code. How many of you heard this term before? As you notice, I like to ask a lot of questions and I expected that people will raise hands, so sorry for that. And yes, we are working with legacy code. I will be speaking about it. But first of all, I would like to share with you my story more detailed than I used to do this before. So right now I'm working as some kind of agile coach. I'm also a QA lead in one of the organizations in Poland, in Katowice. And that what we are doing is implementing continuous delivery. How many of you heard about the continuous delivery? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, few of you, great. So that's what I learned in last 7 or 8 years when I start my career as a software tester, when I just end high school, start studying in Krakow, and I was run out of money and I need to find a job. My friend of mine asked me if I want to be a tester. I said okay, I don't know what the tester is, what the testing is at all. And he teach me how to test software, I don't know, in 1 week. It was everything what he can do for me. He showed me everything, he showed me how to report bugs, how to test, how to do exploratory tests. Later on I read things about, ISTQB or the certificates. I even done some courses, some exams, and I learned that it's still not enough. I learned a lot about the software testing, about the writing test cases, the scenarios, about executing tests, and I learned that it's not enough. Still, we are building crappy software. It doesn't matter how good it is tested, it's still crappy software. The quality of the software is pretty low. So what's the point of testing it? And then I said, okay, so maybe if I'm testing crappy software and wasting a lot of time and a lot of money of my business, of my organization to test this crappy software, so maybe I will start automate it. So then we will waste less money than we used to waste. It was pretty difficult to do, especially when we already have a lot of crappy software. But then I learned something more, that quality is not about the testing. It doesn't came from testing. It came from the whole organization from the very, very beginning. And sometimes it's too late to introduce quality into software, or maybe not. And this presentation is mostly about how to implement quality or introduce quality into software which already exists and already is a crappy software. How many of you are working on some kind of crappy software? Great. I didn't expect that you said that. Okay. Yeah, most of the developers are working on the legacy code, on the code which already exists. And Greenfield project is something, like Unicode. Someone see it before. Okay, can you imagine perfect software? We are talking about the legacy code, but let's try to talk about something different. What is the perfect software for you? Yeah. Goals. Which goals? What else is important in perfect software?
Client satisfaction.
Client satisfaction. Makes money, get money. Okay, money are very important, of course.
100% unit test coverage.
100% of what?
Unit test coverage.
Okay, measured what, how? Line of code. I would say that I've seen the projects which has 300% of unit test coverage. Does it mean that I will write down 100% test coverage? Is it possible to have more?
It's not a goal, it's a measure.
Yeah. You know, there is it's a side topic, but there is a difference between the goal and or metric and between the metric and KPI. You know the KPI, key performance indicator, which is a goal. Or if we are measuring test coverage, we are treating it as a metric, and it is good. When we are observing it and react if it's going down, for example. It's bad if it goes down. It's good if it rises up. But if we are targeting in, I don't know, in next week we want to have 120% of test coverage. It became a KPI, and this is the problem. We can talk about it later. Metrics are good, KPIs are very, very bad. Any KPIs. This is my opinion. Okay, what else is important in perfect software? What about the bugs? No bugs.
Only useful bugs.
Useful. Useful bugs. Okay, I don't write it down. No bugs. What do you mean by quality? Perfect software is high quality software. What does it mean quality?
Software meets requirements.
What?
Meets requirements.
Meet requirements, yes. Meet just by free requirements. What is also important in the perfect software?
It should be useful and usable.
Useful. Usable. Anything else?
It shouldn't make any harm to the user.
Make any what does it mean? Is it bite or?
Depends on, for example, medical software can harm patients.
Okay. So it should be safety.
Yes, yeah. Successful.
Successful. We'll be talking about success today. So.
Popular.
Popular. What makes software popular?
Best in class product.
What?
Best in class product.
Best in
All other products sucks, but our
the best.
This sentence made this product popular.
Okay. What about the code? What about the code part? I know that most of you are software testers, so you don't ever see a code. Yes.
it's really the
It's maintainable, yes. I'm just kidding. I hope you see the code. Maintainable. Maintainable. It's easy to say it, pronounce it very, when you're saying it slow, it's pretty difficult if I'm saying it fast. So, maintainable. Yeah.
Zero maintenance is considered there.
What?
Is zero maintenance considered in this point?
I don't know. What does it mean, zero maintenance?
Does need.
Doesn't need
Does need it
maintenance. Have you, any one of you, have you ever worked on the software which don't have to be maintained? Is there anyone? Okay, so I don't know. It would be.
This is perfect, right?
Okay, we are okay. So maintainable or no need of maintenance.
Embedded, for example.
What?
Embedded.
Embedded.
For example, embedded. There's no.
No, I disagree. I used to work on some embedded software and it needs some maintenance, even if it costs you a lot of money because you need to go to every device and update the software manually or update the hardware sometimes. Maybe not in the all cases, but okay, for example, you have a TV, yes? There is an embedded software. But if you are doing a new version of the TV, you are using the same software for this new version, but updated. So it still needs to be maintainable in this kind of maintain. But yeah, probably we would find some example of the software. Okay, I think that maintainability is the very important part of the software, perfect software. How many of you know this guy? Who it is?
Bob Martin.
Yes, Uncle Bob Martin. Robert C. Martin. This guy had been in Poland 2 years ago, and he was talking about the perfect software. He was talking about how to write a test to perfect software, how to test it, how to develop it, what the architecture should be, and he said something like this that, well, if you are building software, you don't have to, you can't put your business logic into the layer of user interface. Also, you cannot put your business logic into your database or some kind of data storage. All what you need is to have your all of your logic of your functionality somewhere between the user interface or some kind of interface and the data logic, not in these two areas. And that way, you don't have to write any acceptance tests. You don't even have to write much integration tests. Only what you need to have some functional tests and a lot of unit tests. And that what you need is classic testing pyramid. How many of you seen this before? I think most of you. It's testing pyramid, end-to-end tests, functional integration tests, unit tests. We need to have as much as possible unit tests. We need to have some functional tests. We need to have some end-to-end tests. Maybe few of them or none of them. How many of you are working the project where it looks like that? 1, 2, 3. Okay. How many of you are working the project where you don't have any automated tests? Or only few of them, and most of them are end-to-end tests?
One-line script.
Okay, well, yeah. This is the problem, because Uncle Bob was talking about the perfect software, but nobody is working in the perfect software. It would be perfect to work with the perfect software every day, but what we are doing is, yeah, reality is different. Because we are working in legacy code all the time. Legacy code, as Martin Fowler said, that legacy code, as far as I remember, it was him, that legacy code is a code without the test. That's the definition of the legacy code. How many of you are dealing with the code which is not tested in the automatic way? Not all the code, but some part of the code, you know, that there are bugs, or there will be high possibility of finding bugs. And this is probably the way how we can define legacy code. Legacy code is also the code which somebody wrote down a few weeks, years, months ago, and now nobody understands how does it work. I've seen it before many times. I even wrote a lot of legacy code by myself. I remember a situation when I sit down and just try to figure out how does this part of the code works, and I was cursing a lot, and I said, oh my god, what an idiot, right now. It doesn't mean, but it does.
Embedded software.
Embedded software. Revenge of embedded software. So I was cursing. What an idiot wrote down this stupid lines of code. Nobody understood it. And a friend of mine said, just look and type in the git log, check. No, it was you. It was oh fuck. Yeah, we are producing legacy code, all of us, all of the developers producing legacy code, and we don't even notice it. We know how to create the perfect software, yes? Or we know what the perfect software is, but we think we know. But why we don't create it?
It takes too much resources, time, money.
Really? How many of you agree that it takes too much time or too much money to create perfect software? 1, 2. Okay. So what about the others? What do you think? Is it possible to create maybe not the perfect, but almost perfect software?
It's possible.
It's possible.
No.
No. Okay, so who thinks it's possible?
I think it's possible. Let's try for it. Let's try and we get success.
Okay.
Let's start with that.
Okay. To be honest, I would say that some time ago I thought, no, it's impossible to create perfect software, or almost perfect software. No, every software which I've seen before was crappy software. And then I seen few projects which was pretty well implemented, pretty well maintained, and there was a lot of tests, and the language or the code was clean, if you know what I mean. So I can read it, it was understandable. For example, I used to work in the organization where we use Java, and I hate Java. Java sucks. Yeah, of course not. We used to have Java in version, I don't know, 5 or even 4. We have a lot of XML and files to maintain this code. We have a lot of libraries which need to be installed. It took about 1 week for one person to set up my own laptop to use to just build the project, etc. And I said, no, Java sucks. Ruby is great. Python is great, but Java sucks. Never ever again try Java. And then my friend from the other company just showed me his code and showed me the Java 6 and Maven and JUnit 4 and ran the test, built everything in, I don't know, 15 minutes just on my laptop, on my computer. And it's, whoa, Java is great. So it's not about the technology, it's not about the language which you are using, it's mostly about the people who are creating it. All practices like, I don't know, clean code, test-driven development, test automation, continuous integration, continuous delivery, Scrum, Agile, whatever you can think about, those are only the practices. And the problem with the practice is always the people problem, not the technical problem. So, this is how we get to this point, I think. This is why we are creating legacy code all the time. It's not about the, I don't know, technology sucks, or software which we already have which sucks. And this is mostly about the people who are creating it. About the developers, testers, managers, and analytics, and whatever you have, whoever you have in your organization. Okay. As I said, it's very expensive to create this software, or maybe not. I think it's mostly delusion. Have you heard about the technical debt? Yeah, of course. This is pretty easy picture. Yeah? You have in this picture you have this is the cost of the implementing some particular functionality during the time. And this yellow line is the place where, in this point, is expected revenue from this functionality which you want to implement. So at some point, we get to the situation where cost of implementing it is bigger than the revenue which we get from implementing it. The red line, which is pretty close to the yellow one, is the cost of create whole system from the scratch, which include this functionality which we are talking about. And I've seen a lot of organizations which are somewhere here, or somewhere there. And I've seen a lot of organizations which goes like this. And I also seen organizations which go somewhere like this. I never seen an organization which go that way or that way, but it's possible to get some time in implementing new features, implementing new functionality to our software in the low cost. But this organization, which was almost flat with this line, they use all this practice which I have told you before. Continuous integration, continuous delivery, test-driven development, test automation, Scrum, Kanban, Agile, whatever. And there was a lot of people who want to use it because they seen this curve, this chart. Okay. Most of the people start the project and they achieve some success, some kind of success at the very beginning. So they want more and more and more. So they're implementing very fast, doesn't care about the quality, doesn't care about the practices, just want to make more and more money. And what is very important in this picture also? What happens somewhere here or here in the organization? What do you think? What's happened here? This is the place where I think most of the organizations are right now. Most of the organizations which are older than, I know, 3 or 5 years. They hire testers and QAs. This is why most of us have a job right now. Because here, if we don't have automated tests or if we didn't care about the quality, we have a lot of bugs, so we need more and more testers to test the software, find the bugs and improve the quality. Or just take care about the quality. If the organization is smart enough, they don't hire testers, but they try to start to hire quality assurance managers, leaders, quality assurance specialists, engineers who are introducing these practices which they forgot before and try to fix this problem. Okay, so temptation of making money in the easy way is very big, very huge. And this is the problem. This is why most of the people forget about the quality, forget about the practices. We live in the illusion of easy making money. It's pretty dangerous. And we of course forget about the quality. Who cares? Do you care about the quality of the software? Why? You're just testing it. It's your role to care about the software quality. Yes? Do your managers know about it? Or business owners? When they are hiring you and calling you a quality assurance engineer or quality assurance specialist, do they know what the quality assurance really means? For example, can you say your manager that okay, now we will stop development for 1 month and we'll just do refactoring of our code and write the tests and improve code quality? Of course you can, but what they answer? Yeah. So the quality assurance goal is more about the process, about the practices, not about the testing, and it's more about the whole organization, not only testing department. Testing is just one small part of the end of the quality assurance process. Quality comes from the very beginning of the software development. I know that you know it, I just like to talk about it. You know, it's, I know that you know it, and I know that most of you don't know how to change it, because in most of our organization it sucks. Yes? And people don't care about the quality. So my answer is, I've heard it before, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago when I used to work as a QA, senior QA engineer and something else at the end of the title, in some organization where we create crappy software and nobody understands the quality matters, and then that we need to care about the quality as a team, as an organization. And I was complaining a lot, and at one of the conferences I've met a guy whose name is Mike Sutton. I was chatting with him, I was complaining a lot, and he said, okay, did you try this one? Yeah, I tried. You tried to convince them? Yes, I tried, and etc., etc. And then he said, well, probably if you cannot change organization, maybe you need to change organization. Very next day after the conference, I said to my boss, okay, I quit. I don't have a problem with finding another job because of that. There is a lot of organizations who want to hire good testers, QAs. And when I was negotiation about the job offer next time, I was always asking the question, do you want the QA or test engineer? I don't want to be tester. I don't want to be tester anymore, because I don't have any impact on the software quality as a tester. I care about the quality, I care about the product. If you want someone in your organization who care about the software quality, about your software, about your product, that's me. You are looking for me. But you need to allow me to do my job the best how I can. So I need to have possibility to make some decisions in terms of quality. Success. You said that perfect software is successful somewhere there. Yes, but success in software development is not continuous. It's something which can happen and then disappear very, very fast. This is the problem with the software. This is why we need maintainability. Software in the long term is possibility to responding to changes. You know, the Agile Manifesto, responding to changes, or following a plan, etc. It's all about it. But we are working with legacy code, so it's pretty difficult to respond to change. How long it take for you to introduce some, I don't say big feature, medium feature into your product? How long does it take, in average? One sprint. How long is sprint?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Great. Do you have automated test? Are you using TED? TED, test-driven development? Partly. Okay. Continuous integration? Yes. This is the reason. What about the others? How long is it take to you from the idea? Someone came to you and said, okay, I want this feature in the application. When you can deliver it? Most? Depends, okay. Yeah.
It's only if you have an application. They have already an application and
Yeah.
they're adding a feature.
Yeah, adding a feature. It's not about a greenfield project which we just started. We already have an application. In many cases, it takes a lot of time. So people get used to working that way. People used to waiting kind of half a year for a new functionality. So this is the problem. How to deal with the legacy code? I said that we need to reverse our test pyramid. At the beginning, we are starting, if we don't have tests at all, as I said, the definition of legacy code is the code without a test. If we don't have tests, there is impossible to write unit tests when there is no unit in your software. As you probably know what the unit test is, testing separate module in your application without connecting to anything other. But what if you don't have any module in your application? What if you have only just one piece of spaghetti and everything is connected to each other? You cannot separate the unit there. If you try to do this, you will probably break something else. So only what you need to write automated tests on very, very high level. Because you can treat your software as a black box. That's how the testers do all the time, yes? We are treating the software as a black box. You can do integration tests if there is everything integrated with everything. It's also spaghetti. Most of the code looks like that. But what you need is to refactor your code and make it testable. To refactor this code, you need to start from these high-level tests. Because of them, you have courage to change something. If you have this test at a very, very high level, and you also should start with this knifing, which I was talking before, yes? You can start with your domain and separate the domain of your project first, of your software first, and focus there. And you have courage to maintain your software. Yeah, but there are some problems with end-to-end tests. For example, they are very, very slow. I like these pictures, they are pretty the same. End-to-end tests takes too long. How many of you are writing UI tests? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. How long does it take to run all of your regression tests?
40 minutes.
4 hours, 20 minutes, 2 days.
Depends on the system.
Again, there is no Lucian here. He said, when I asked this question on the other conference, he said, oh, it takes 2
How
weeks.
much environments do you have?
So, it takes too long. I stopped to use the word test in my project. We don't use word test for automated testing. We are using word feedback, automated feedback. Because this is what we want to achieve by testing. We want to have a feedback about, did I broke something? No? Okay, it's great. I can do something more. Or I broke something, okay, so I need to fix it before I will do something more, something else. So this is a feedback, not just a test automation. Testing is for testers. Yeah? Everyone says that, programmers always said, or maybe not always, but very often said, okay, I will not test my code because I have testers, so they test my code. Yes, of course. Testers are for testing. Developers are for developing. Automated tests, bugs for users. Automated tests are not for testers, they are for developers. But testing is not for developers, but for testers. So I stopped using word test and I use word feedback. Automated feedback is for developers. Automated test is for testers. Does it make sense? No. No, I even changed the annotation in Java in JDK. There is annotation test. We overwrite it and use word feedback. So I know that every developer knows that it's overwritten and there is test inside in JUnit, and but everyone was laughing about it, and they said that wait, now when I write feedback, I know why I'm doing it, so I can do less tests than I used to do before, because I'm focusing only that what is important for me in the feedback term. Okay, but automated test takes too long if they are end-to-end tests, so we don't want to have them. They are pretty difficult to maintain. Even if you are using page object pattern, and even if you are using any other method of creating high maintainable tests, it's pretty difficult to make them when we are comparing it to unit tests, for example. So then what we are doing with legacy code, we starting from the end-to-end test, and we want to reverse this test programming back. So we want to have, we want to change our automated end-to-end test into unit tests. How to do this? By refactoring, step by step. We start from end-to-end test our application, test some scenarios, then we start refactoring. Now we have courage because we have tests, we can run it. It could take even 2 hours or 3 hours to execute this test. And then when we are refactoring, we have only one goal for this refactoring, is making our code testable. This is the goal for refactoring, not just implementing and improving quality. What does it mean, improving quality of the code? For me, it's only making it testable. When I have testable on the very, very low level, I can improve everything else, step by step, not everything at all. We are introducing new architecture of our software. It's very important. It will take some time. I don't know how much time we have. In 5 minutes? Okay. But the most important part is why we are doing it. What we are creating first, the end-to-end test, and then change it into low-level tests. It's only because we want to have the courage to refactor our code to improve the quality and to decrease the technical debt which we had before, somehow. It will take time, it will take money to do this, but in most cases it's worth to do this. Of course, it's much more easier if you are keeping your technical debt on a very, very low level from the beginning, but nobody is doing it. Almost, you guys here. You have exceptions. You can use, for example, your slack time for that. So every minute when you have your free time at work, you can just improve your quality somehow. Scout by rule. leave the world better than you found it. This is what I'm saying to every developer. If you are starting to implement new functionality, because people are asking me where to start refactoring or where to start the improving quality of the code. I'm saying start wherever you are right now. If someone said you need to implement some functionality, some new feature, just before you start implementing it, prepare your environment. Fix all the dependencies, write some tests. You can use behavior-driven development, acceptance-driven development. You can just write some whatever test before you start, and makes implementing change into the software as easy as it's possible at this moment. Step by step, you will get to the point where it will be easy to make any change you want in your software. Yeah. Do not do ever refactoring just for refactoring. Most of the time, it's a waste of time. Refactor only things which add you some business value to your project. So, of course, refactor all the time, make it a practice, a behavior, not refactor, not make some, I don't know, in next 1 month we will be refactoring our code. Don't add any value. I asked the question, can you say it before? You should say me, it's a stupid question. Don't do this at home, at work. Rewriting from scratch is very dangerous, and most of the time, most of the cases, it's end up with big failure or some kind of dead march. And I not recommended it, but I heard about few examples where they rewrite from scratch and it works like this, like Facebook, for example. It was rewritten, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. In Poland, we also have Nasza Klasa, or had, I don't know if they exist. It was also a clone of the Facebook. So it was pretty the same story. So, yes, it's possible sometimes, but you need to know how to do it well. And most of the cases which was successful, there was another team, another organization, another company who rewrite it from scratch, not the same which created it. Because temptation of, okay, I understand this cross is out of time. This temptation of using already existed code is pretty big, and it's difficult to do this. And the most important part of this presentation, remove your duplicated tests. So if you write some end-to-end test and then refactor your code so that it's possible to make some integration and functional tests, and then you defactor this code and implement some unit testing for that. Just try to figure out which tests are duplicated by which, and always leave only this one on the very, very low level, this unit testing, and remove the end-to-end tests. Okay, does that matter? Questions? Okay.
When you're open for some new great opportunity in your life, what do you choose? Some project with very great quality and with no processes, or something where the processes are already commented somewhere?
It's a very tough question. I must say, because I have this. I asked this question, I don't know, about three months ago, and I choose. What I choose? I choose something which was the organization with which already have some processes. They use Kanban, they have some practices, but not on the very high level. And they want to improve. The first question which I was asking was, do you really want to improve something, or you just want to have a paper or the guy who is called a QA lead, and you will just say to your customer, oh, now we have this great QA lead who is blog posting all the time, going for the conference, yeah, and now we are super high quality software development house. No, they said that they only what they want is just to improve their practices, and not only on the management level, but I asked this question to the developers who work there. So for me, it doesn't matter if it's crappy software or not crappy software, and crappy organization or not crappy organization, but what's matter for me is if people want to change or they don't want to change. Because as I said, the practices are the people problem, not the software problem or the process problem. It's all about the people. And with people, there is a lot of reasons why they don't want to change. For example, they don't know that there is other possibility. This is why I'm going for the conference and talking about it. And because you have other options, always. You can do something different. If you don't change anything, nothing will change. So, only what I'm asking people is, do you want to change or do you want to try to change?
Okay, but if you have two organizations and each of them wants to change, the crappy one is more interesting. How is it?
Yes. The crappy one is more interesting, yes. And probably they want to pay more, so yes. There are two reasons. I'm working as a change agent in Cosmigas. We are doing a lot of agile transformation for the organization. So if you are interested, just call me or ask me. I don't know. We are dealing with the few kinds of organization. One of them is the organization which are, as you said, pretty good processes. Everything is good, and they want to improve even more. And this is the best customer for us, but they don't want to pay a lot. So we are doing it with pleasure, but not earning money on them. And the second one is the so crappy organization that they have no other option than hire us and to fix everything. This is more challenging, this is more difficult, this is more painful for everyone, but they are paying more money, of course. And yeah, as I said, this is more challenging and we are doing this. Something which is between these two levels, the very high performance and very low performance, they are asking, they are looking for something, but at the end, they never hire us. They ask always, we have a lot of emails from them, but nobody signed a contract later. Yeah.
So about Scrum and the Agile methodologies, yes. What do you think about implementation sprints? Are they must, or we can just implement refactoring and all the things you're talking about during the other sprints?
Stabilization sprint, tak?
Stabilization sprint.
Yeah, stabilization sprint is a dysfunction. It's dysfunction. It's you cannot have any stabilization sprints. Scrum is incremental, as I said before. So at the end of every sprint, you need to have a stabilized product, tested, done, whatever it means for you. So you cannot have any stabilization phase in your product. If you are doing this, it's not a Scrum, it's some kind of water Scrum fail.
Yeah, but they think that client requested some refactoring sprint, one sprint, just to clean a code, just do some refactoring.
Yeah, if we screw up before, probably it's one of the options to have a refactoring sprint. I'm not saying it's not. Okay, I would say it is dysfunctional, yeah, but sometimes we have to do this. If you want to improve something, we really have to do this.
Yeah, but if we have possibility to just sell it, yeah, instead of this stabilization sprint, do we need to do that?
From the business perspective, if we want to sell it and we want to earn money on the stabilization phase, yeah, of course we should do this, and yeah, it's making money. But in the long term, I believe, and from my experience, in the long term, it's better to deliver very, very often to the customer. And even if we finish the project before the deadline, and we used to finish 3 or 5 projects before the deadlines, and I say half a year before the deadline, 1 year project, and we had half time of finishing it. And it doesn't mean that we didn't earn as much money as we should. Of course, we have paid only for the half time, but this customer recommend us to the other customers, and after that we have 2 new customers, which was also very, very happy and very, very happy that they can work with us. So I'm saying that it's always better to say the truth to the customers, to be honest, and it works most of the time. It doesn't work for the public sector, but in any cases, yes.
Are you done?
Hi.
So the question is, do you use Java now? But still hate it?
No, I love Java right now. I'm a very, very weak programmer. I'm not a developer at all. But yes, I'm using Java I'm giving a training in Java. And right now in the project which I am a QA lead, we are using .NET and C#, but it's project specific.
Yeah. And so my question would be about technical debts. And like, if you're doing business, you always need to say to explain to customer why you need to create another unit test or why you need to.
I'm not doing this.
Sorry?
I'm not doing this.
Okay.
I'm not talking with customers about the technical practices. I have it on my website, on my company website. We are using it. It's if you know what it is, it's good for you. If you don't know what it is, I can explain you, of course. But we will not negotiate in this area. This is my tool. This is how I'm doing things. I will not ask my customers how I'm doing the stuff. It's like when you are going to the doctor, I don't know, for the surgery, you are not telling him how he need to use, I don't know, this cable or something like this.
Can you imagine the situation when you are in a project, you're developing a project, and then you need to explain why you should spend like additional day for some stuff, or your customers just trust you and you don't expect?
Trust is something which you need to build in a long period. So beginning is always difficult. As I said, I'm just hiding it from the customers. I'm saying it when it's like even Apollo said that it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. It's much more easier. So if I will screw up something, then I ask for permission, for forgiveness. But if I'm asking for permission, people tend to, I don't know, ask others, delay the answers, and things get so long and so painful, and the negotiation process, etc. I'm just doing it, and if something goes wrong, okay, and if it's the fault of the automated test or time spending on the automated test, okay, I said sorry, it's my fault, but it never happened before. So,
do you have in your organization? Do you have someone responsible for technical debts? Like, if you have experts, like very matured programmers, they respect processes and they would follow what you said. They would always fight with technical debts, but in general, you also have some average guys, average people. And how you remember what should be fixed?
We don't have to, because we have code review all the time. Every change, every commit is reviewed by someone else. And we have some kind of architectural retrospective meetings in every 2 weeks when we meet and discuss what architectural decision was made and what else we are doing. Every change every architectural change is discussed in some forum, and there's few people who are always discussing. Everyone join to this discussion, and every fix which we need to do is fixed just after we discover that it needs to be fixed. We don't schedule the time in the later for fixing something. We just want to fit into the sprint. Sometimes even we said, okay, we will not finish this user story with this feature because we need to fix something, because we find an issue. But it's also a business decision, yes? So we are informing the product owner. Hopefully this guy is pretty, he's pretty good, yeah, and he, maybe not in technical area, but he knows that if we screw up with technical debt right now, we will pay this debt later and pay even more than now. So he trusts us right now, and he said, okay, if you think it's really important to do, just do it. Yeah. It's no problem. But as I said, the trust comes from the working together for a long time. It's not just, okay, we are the best, you should trust us. No, it doesn't work like this.